Hi everyone, welcome back. This week we are continuing with chapter 12 of Deuteronomy. And again, this is still Moses talking. These are the statutes and decrees which you must be careful to observe in the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to occupy, as long as you live on its soil. Destroy without fail every place on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every leafy tree where the nations you are to dispossess worship their gods. Tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars, destroy by fire their sacred poles, and shatter the idols of their gods, that you may stamp out the remembrance of them in any such place. This is not how you are to worship the Lord your God. Instead, you shall resort to the place which the Lord your God chooses out of all your tribes and designates as his dwelling. And there you shall bring your holocausts and sacrifices, your tithes and personal contributions, your votive and freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and flocks. There too, before the Lord your God, you and your families shall eat and make merry over all your undertakings, because the Lord your God has blessed you. You shall not do as we are now doing here. Everyone does what seems right to himself, since you have not yet reached your resting place, the heritage which the Lord your God will give to you. But after you have crossed the Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God is giving you as a heritage, when he has given you rest from all your enemies round about, and you live there in security, then to the place which the Lord your God chooses as the dwelling place for his name, you shall bring all the offerings I command you, your holocausts and sacrifices, your tithes and personal contributions, and every special offering you have vowed to the Lord. You shall make merry before the Lord your God with your sons and daughters, your male and female slaves, as well as with the Levite who brings to your community, the Levite who belongs to your community, but has no share of his own in your heritage. Take care not to offer up your holocausts in any place you fancy, but offer them up in the place which the Lord chooses from among your tribes. There you shall make whatever offerings I enjoin upon you. However, in any of your communities, you may slaughter and eat to your heart's desire as much meat as the Lord your God has blessed you with, and the unclean as well as the clean may eat it, as they do the gazelle or the deer. Only you shall not partake of the blood, but must pour it out on the ground like water. Moreover, you shall not, in your own communities, partake of your tithe of grain or wine or oil, of the firstborn of your herd or flock, or of the first of any offering you have vowed, of your freewill offerings, or of your personal contributions. These you must eat before the Lord your God in the place he chooses, along with your son and daughter, your male and female slave, and the Levite who belongs to your community, and there, before the Lord, you shall make merry over all your undertakings. Take care also that you do not neglect the Levite as long as you live in the land. Jumping down to verse 29. When the Lord your God removes the nations from your way as you advance and dispossess them, be on your guard. Otherwise, once they have been wiped out before you, and you have replaced them and are settled in their land, you will be lured into following them. Do not inquire regarding their gods. How did these nations worship their gods? I, too, would do the same. You shall not thus worship the Lord your God, because they offered to their gods every abomination that the Lord detests, even burning their sons and daughters to their gods. Chapter 13. Every command that I enjoin on you, you shall be careful to observe, neither adding to it nor subtracting from it. If there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer who promises you a sign or wonder, urging you to follow other gods whom you have not known, and to serve them, even though the sign or wonder he has foretold you comes to pass, pay no attention to the words of that prophet or that dreamer, for the Lord your God is testing you to learn whether you really love him with all your heart and with all your soul. The Lord your God shall you follow, and him shall you fear. His commandment shall you observe, and his voice shall you heed, serving him and holding fast to him alone. But that prophet or that dreamer shall be put to death, because, in order to lead you astray from the way which the Lord your God has directed you to take, he has preached apostasy from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and ransomed you from that place of slavery. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. Jumping down now to chapter 14. You are children of the Lord your God. You shall not gash yourselves, nor shave the head above your foreheads for the dead. For you are a people sacred to the Lord your God, who has chosen you from all the nations on the face of the earth to be a people peculiarly his own. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the red deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the ibex, the addax, the oryx, and the mountain sheep. Any animal that has hooves you may eat, provided that it is cloven-footed and chews the cud. But you shall not eat any of the following that only chew the cud, or only have cloven hooves: the camel, the hare, and the rock badger, which indeed chew the cud but do not have hooves, and are therefore unclean for you; and the pig, which indeed has hooves, and is cloven-footed, but does not chew the cud, and therefore is unclean for you. Their flesh you shall not eat, and their dead bodies you shall not touch. Of the various creatures that live in the water, whatever has both fins and scales you may eat, but all those that lack either fins or scales you shall not eat. They are unclean for you. You may eat all clean birds, but you shall not eat any of the following: the eagle, the vulture, the osprey, the various kites and falcons, all the various species of crows, the ostrich, the nightjar, the gull, the various species of hawks, the owl, the screech owl, the hawks, the owl, the owl, the screech owl, the ibis, the desert owl, the buzzard, the cormorant, the stork, the various species of herons, the hoopoe, and the bat. All winged insects, too, are unclean for you and shall not be eaten, but you may eat any clean winged creatures. You must not eat any animal that has died of itself, for you are a people sacred to the Lord your God. But you may give it to an alien who belongs to your community, and he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner. You shall not boil a kid, that's a young goat. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Each year you shall tithe all the produce that grows in the fields you have sown. Then in the place which the Lord your God chooses as the dwelling place of his name, you shall eat in his presence your tithe of the grain, wine, and oil, as well as the firstlings of your herd and flock, that you may learn always to fear the Lord your God. If, however, the journey is too much for you and you are not able to bring your tithe, because the place which the Lord your God chooses for the abode of his name is too far for you, considering how the Lord has blessed you, you may exchange the tithe for money, and with the purse of money in hand, go to the place which the Lord your God chooses. You may then exchange the money for whatever you desire: oxen or sheep, wine or strong drink, or anything else you would enjoy, and there before the Lord your God you shall partake of it and make merry with your family. But do not neglect the Levite who belongs to your community, for he has no share in the heritage with you. At the end of every third year you shall bring out all the tithes of your produce for that year, and deposit them in community stores, that the Levite who has no share in the heritage with you, and also the alien, the orphan, and the widow who belong to your community, may come and eat their fill, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you undertake. Chapter 15. At the end of every 7-year period you shall have a relaxation of debts, which shall be observed as follows. Every creditor shall relax his claim on what he has loaned his neighbor. He must not press his neighbor, his kinsman, because a relaxation in honor of the Lord has been proclaimed. You may press a foreigner, but you shall relax the claim on your kinsman for what is yours. Nay, more, since the Lord your God will bless you abundantly in the land he will give you to occupy as your heritage, there should be no one of you in need. The Lord your God will bless you abundantly in the land he will give you to occupy as your heritage. There should be no one of you in need. If you but heed the voice of the Lord your God, and carefully observe all these commandments which I enjoin on you today, you will lend to many nations and borrow from no one. You will rule over many nations, and none will rule over you, since the Lord your God will bless you as he promised. If one of your kinsmen in any community is in in the land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart nor close your hand to him in his need. Instead, you shall open your hand to him and freely lend him enough to meet his need. Be on your guard, lest entertaining the mean thought that the seventh year, the year of relaxation, is near, you grudge help to your needy kinsman and give him nothing. Else he will cry to the Lord against you, and you will be held guilty. When you give to him, give freely and not with ill will, for the Lord your God will bless you for this in all your works and undertakings. The needy will never be lacking in the land, and that is why I command you to open your hand to your poor and needy kinsmen in your country. If your kinsman, a Hebrew man or woman, sells himself to you, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year you shall dismiss him from your service, a free man. When you do so, you shall not send him away empty-handed, but shall weight him down with gifts from your flock and threshing floor and winepress in proportion to the blessing the Lord your God has bestowed on you. For remember that you too were once slaves in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God ransomed you. That is why I am giving you this command today. If, however, he tells you that he does not wish to leave you, because he is devoted to you and to your household, since he fares well with you, you shall take an awl and thrust it through his ear into the door, and he shall then be your slave forever. Your female slave also you shall treat in the same way. You must not be reluctant to let your slave go free, since the service he has given you for 6 years was worth twice a hired man's salary. Then also the Lord your God will bless you in everything you do. You shall consecrate to the Lord your God all the male firstlings of your herd and of your flock. You shall not work the firstlings of your cattle, nor shear the firstlings of your flock. Year after year, you and your family shall eat them before the Lord your God in a place he chooses. If, however, a firstling is lame or blind or has any other serious defect, you shall not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. But in your own communities you may eat it, the unclean and the clean eating it alike, as you would a gazelle or a deer. Only you shall not partake of its blood, which must be poured out onto the ground like water. We're going to stop there. It's something that I like to just kind of take note of. Chapter 15, it's the importance of generosity. And taking care of, your community, your family. And doing it with joy. Generosity is important, even in a modern world. Sometimes it can be hard to remember that, but what is being conveyed to the Israelites here is if there's somebody that's in need and we help them in whatever way we can. Maybe it doesn't mean, it can mean different things, time, talent, treasure. That is what we are. That's what we're to do. We're to be helpful and to take care of each other. So on that note, let us bow our heads and say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.